Hello and thank you for joining me. I'm Heather Forgan of stampwithnellie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. Yesterday I took part in the Project Share blog hop with 3 of my lovely friends, and this was the project that I made. I decided not to put my video out at the same time and just to do a separate post with all of the measurements and whatnot, and I'm just looking at that, and I put that on upside down and never noticed. It's the right way up on the other side, but on the front it's upside down. Well, never mind. So I used Pebble Path for this, and the designer series paper is Nature's Sweetness. It is in the 2023 to 2024 annual catalogue. It's not in the next annual catalogue, but it's also not on the Last Chance products. So that would suggest that it is moving to an online exclusive. So the stamp set and the dies, which were called Lovely, or still are called Lovely and Sweet, those are retiring. They are on the Last Chance, and the stamp set is a bit of a bargain. So check that out if you're interested. But what I used to decorate this with is the Sweet Jar stamp set. So I stamped my little jar, and the lid I did in Wild Wheat, and then my sentiment, sending a little sweetness your way. That's actually one stamp, that one that says sending a little and your way. It is on my block there. Obviously you could cut that up if you didn't want to have your sweetness just squished in there like that, or whatever. So yeah, I'm going to make another one, and Pebbled Path is one of the retiring in colours, as is Wild Wheat. So with this one I'm going to use Wild Wheat and some of the gold and white designs. For this one, once you open it up, inside you have a little pocket. I've got the DSP on the right way. Take that out, and there's just that continuation on there. Now on the front I've got a bigger border than on the inside, so on this one I've changed it so that they are the same. Okay, I had decorated the inside and then I went to decorate the outside, and I thought I chopped it smaller. Actually I like it like that, so these bits are smaller on my next one. Okay, so this one has a bar of Scottish fudge going in there, and as I said, that just folds over there, and then you've got the tie there, ribbon underneath the DSP on that. The measurements of this for the inside bit's probably best to do is 2 1/4 by 3 1/4, and then the height of the overall thing is 5 inches. So if you've got a bar of chocolate or whatever around about the same sort of size, that should fit in there too. I have a bar of Scottish tablet, and when it says sending a little sweetness, both fudge and tablet are not just a little bit sweet. They are essentially just sugar and condensed milk. So we've got sugar, whole milk, salted butter, sweetened condensed milk, and glucose syrup. So sugar, 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 and fat, pretty much, which is why it tastes amazing. Okay, so let's get on and make another one of these. I'll tie that up properly later. What you'll need is a piece of Wild Wheat for the outer cover, That is 7.5 inches by 5 inches. And then for the inner sort of pocket bit, you need another piece that is 4 3/4 by 3.5 inches. I will put all of the measurements in my blog post. There'll be a link to that in the description for this video. Then I've got 2 pieces of designer series paper that measure 2 1/8 by 4 3/4. Then I've got a little piece measuring 2 inches by 2 inches with a little fluffy bit on there. Never mind. And a scrap of basic white to do the decoration on the front. So that's all my decoration bits. We'll come to them in a moment. I need to do some scoring on each of these pieces. So I'm just going to bring in my paper trimmer. And I have moved this darker cutting blade right out of the way, and I'm only going to be using the lighter scoring blade. Okay, so on this long side that measures 7.5 inches, I'm lining that up at 2 3/8. Score that. Then 3 1/4 inches. Score that. 5 5/8. Then I need to put the arm out and score that at 6.5 inches. And that is all my scoring on that first piece. Just bring in the smaller piece. Don't need the arm out anymore. And on the long side that's 4 3/4 inches, I want to score that at 1/2 inch. Then at 1 1/4 inches. Then at 3.5 inches. And 4 1/4 inches. Okay, and on the short side, I want to score that at 2 1/4 inches and at 3 inches, like so. Just going to burnish these first of all, just to reinforce each of these lines, which I actually forgot to do on my second one, my first one, which was kind of awkward because once you've put that little sort of tray thing in on there, it's impossible to burnish them. So we've got them done this time. I try and make the mistakes on the prototype rather than on the one that we're making in the video, but there's no guarantees. Just gives that a crisper edge. Now, there is no cutting involved in this outer wrapper. It will just make sure that you've got that extra bit on that side. Okay, and then we'll need to put the ribbon on before we put the designer series paper on the outside, but we can put the designer series paper on the inside. Actually, let's just do that. And that will be one stage done. Come on. You were working just half an hour ago. I knew that would happen. I gave it too big a squeeze. Let me just grab a little scrap and just move that around. I don't want a big blob of glue in one bit. But hopefully you'll play ball now. Yeah, that's better. Much better. Okay, I think we have enough glue on that now to pop that on the inside. And just try and make sure we've got it equal spacing around. And straightish. That'll do. Okay. Let's do a little bit of cutting on this one. Okay, so I've got my 2 score lines at the bottom there. I'm going to cut up, not just to the first one, but to the second one, all the way along on each of these vertical score lines. Okay. All right, so these 2 pieces here can be taken off. I'm just going to take it off with a slightly extra little wedge there. Okay, so I've not got a straight line, I've got a little wedge line there. This one, I'm going to take off just that bottom panel, like that. And then I'm going to take a little wedge out either side, just to take out the bulk and get a neater finish when I fold it up. Okay. This one, I just want to take a little wedge out either side. Okay, so we're like that so far. And then I want to do the same as I did with those ones. So I'm going to take it off the bottom of that one, then wedge it, or miter it, whatever you want to call it. Just take a little triangle out either side there. And then I'm taking all of that off with a tiny little bit extra for good measure. So it should now look like that. All right. I've got this bit I'm going to put on there because it's easier to do it when it's flat. Okay. Then we need to assemble this. I'm going to put glue on these 2 little tabs here. Possibly not quite that much glue, Heather. Don't want it to come oozing out. Just spread it a little bit better. Okay. They're both going to fold like that, and then that is going to come down. But I'm just going to do one of them at a time. Okay, so I can fold that out of the way. I'm just bringing that edge round like that. Okay, and then I'm going to hold it for just a moment so that the glue kind of sets. Okay, and then I can give it a bit of pressure with my bone folder and then do the same that side. So just bringing them around so we've got a nice neat edge there, and again give that a good press. Okay, then fold those 2 bits in. I'm going to put just a tiny bit of glue there for now, and there, like that. Then fold that over. I don't want this to get too far out of line. Just hold that. And then the same here. So, like that. Okay, so we've kind of got our box shape. Then add glue to the 3 sides. And then glue that in between those 2 score lines, and I've left just a little bit from the bottom there. Okay, maybe 1/8 of an inch at most. Okay, so that is just slightly narrower than between those 2 score lines. And my treat can go in like that. That will come round and that will come round. As I say, we need that ribbon or trim rather. Tidy up as I go along would be a good idea, as is putting the lid on your glue. Okay, so this is gorgeous open weave trim, and I'm going to be fairly generous with it. There we go. Just going to tie that. And I'm pulling it that way because I want my tails to kind of go that way. And likewise, when I get this tied, pull it that way. Come on. That should do. Right, I want that kind of in the middle there. So I'm going to grab some tearing tape. Honestly, there is some on this, but not a lot. So once I'm happy with where I've got that ribbon, I'm just going to tape it down in place. Okay. Front and back. Okay, and I can take that off. Oh, I've forgotten to cut one of the pieces. I need an extra bit of that to put on the front, don't I? But I do need to add more glue. Right then, I'll do this one, I'll cut another one, and then I will come back and we can play around with the sweet jar. And thankfully there's not an up or down on this. Okay, disaster averted. Thankfully I did have some more of that paper in that design. Wouldn't have mattered. I could have used a third design for the outside, for the front rather, but I didn't particularly want to. That is just going to sit on there. Like that. Just try and press that down, especially around the ribbon. But, okay, so we'll leave that to set for a moment. And we can do some stamping. So, the stamps for the jar and the lid are separate. So you can either stamp them as one to punch out, because your punch will take them both out at the same time, or you can do them separately. I did them separately for my first one, especially because I was actually doing 2 different colours. And I might do that again, but I wanted to show you, if you want to stamp them together, then the easiest way to make sure that you're lining them up is to stamp on a piece of scrap, okay? Then turn your stamp and fit it into that gap. Turn your stamp upside down again. So this is the stamping surface going down like that, and fit that in there. Like so. Then pick them up like that, and just double check that that didn't move when I picked it up. I think it might have, because that's not quite in line. Let's just pop that in there again. Okay, like that. Then we've got that there, that there. So when I stamp that, that's going to line up. Maybe. Gone slightly out again. Honestly, it's not as tricky as I'm making it look. It's not. I think it's slightly tricky with this one because they are actually really quite close together. That's it. Okay. Right. I'm going to stamp them both with pebbled pat for now, to try and prove, hopefully, that I did eventually get them in the right place. That lid looks a little bit squint. Let's try it. Let's try it. So if we've got that lid in there and we've got the jar in there, we can just wiggle it about a little bit. I've not done it perfectly, I'm not going to lie. But there you go. They fit together. I don't actually want that to be there. I am going to just take my lid. I'm going to clean it with my chamois. Great invention, chamois. And then I'm going to get my wild wheat out again to match my card. Tap, tap, tap. Pop that on like so. Clean that again once I'm finished. And then I can just slide that into my punch, line it up. Punch that out. So I have my lid and my jar in different colours. I'm going to stamp the sending a little your way in the middle like that. And then when there's my other one, shouldn't close that yet. Sweetness, upside down heather. Sweetness going in here. So cute. I really couldn't resist this. If you watched my pre-order video, then you'll have seen that there were two online exclusive bundles that I couldn't resist. This is just one of them. So, given that I've got a little bit of tear and tape here, what I'm going to do is actually just line up the back of them together like that. And put a little bit of tear and tape along the join. Like that. And then I can put dimensionals on the back. I had a feeling this would be a little bit longer than normal video. That's one of the reasons why I decided not to put my video on the actual blog hop, because I wanted you to go and look at the other ladies' projects rather than getting distracted by a long video and then forgetting to go and check them out. So that is going to go in the middle like that, and my finishing touch was to add some little gems. The gems in question are these gold textured adhesive backed dots, which are actually also on the last chance products list. So these are retiring. I don't know if they were discounted. I forgot to check that. There'll be links to the products I've used in the video, with the exception of the bundle, because it's not yet available. So you can check out what's still available in the last chance, if those gems may already have sold out by the time this actually goes live. But at the time of recording, they were available. There we go. We have two sweet jar bundle treat packages, decorated front and back with some of this absolutely stunning open weave trim. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please click on that subscribe button, click the bell and get notification the next time I upload a tutorial. Until then, please do take care. Bye bye.